Okay, please have SB page 159 through 160 out for this lesson and follow along. Complete these two sheets with me as we go through this. This is pretty critical information for this chapter. Okay, and before we do this, we want to talk about these triangle congruency shortcuts, right? We've got SSS stands for side, 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 SAS, side, angle, side, angle, 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 side. And the one that we have to be aware of, we talked about this before, is the side, side, angle donkey, right? And that one is one that we cannot rely on for congruence, okay? So what we're doing, we have triangles that are marked, and we're here to determine whether or not they are congruent. Do we know for sure that they are congruent? Or is it a situation that they might be weak, but we can't know for sure? It cannot be determined. I'm going to give you a chance to take a look at number one and tell me what, not tell me, but do on your own, think whether or not these two triangles, I'm going to call this triangle A and this triangle B, are congruent to each other. Okay. If you notice, we've marked two sides and they share a side, okay? But I'm going to tell you right now that unless this is a rectangle and I knew it was a rectangle, I actually cannot determine whether or not these are congruent to each other. There are some slight differences in how this could have been constructed. It might be only a degree or two, and it wouldn't be visible, easily visible, but they're not going to be congruent. Okay, and I'm going to kind of go through the reasoning as to why this is. All right, take a look at triangle A. Okay, I have a side, then I have a second side, and then here is the angle. And notice I have to go in that order, okay? The angle's not in between the two sides, all right? And on B, I have a corresponding side, okay? And so I draw that. And then again, it shares this side, okay? So that's congruent too. And then it also shares this congruent angle, all right? But here's the problem. The problem is that this angle right here, and I'm going to use a completely different color to kind of highlight this, all right? This angle here and this angle here are not fixed, okay? So, and this side here and this side are not fixed. So this little arm can rotate a little bit one way or the other. I'll have an acute and an obtuse version that I will create two different triangles. So this is one that you cannot trust your eyes. You know, you have to notice that if it's side, side, angle, okay, that's a donkey. And we would say that it cannot be determined. Okay, so I'm going to label that appropriately. Okay, let's see. So we would say cannot be determined side, side, angle, right? So that's usually the hardest one, and it is one of the most often missed on a quiz. Let's go to number two, all right? So I do see two angles marked, so I'm going to be looking to see if one of these two work, okay? And what would I need? I need a side. Well, they share a side, right? Both triangles share this side right here, okay? So I like to mark these so that I can kind of see what my congruencies are. And now what I notice, again, if I'm going to call this A, I'm going to call this B, okay? So A has a angle, side, angle, all right? And then look at B, corresponding angle, side, angle. So I would say, yes, these are congruent by angle, side, angle, all right? Okay, two, let's go to number three, okay? I have two sides, so I'm either looking for a side, angle, side, or a side, side, side here, okay? Notice nothing given here tells me that I've got angles, okay? But I do have this center shared side, which I can mark. And then now I can clearly see that this one's pretty easy. It's side, 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 okay? So yes, this one, these two are congruent by side, side, side. Give you a moment to process number four. And again, I would recommend that you mark anything that you know for sure is true based on the drawing. okay? So I've got an angle and a side. I always need 3. These are 3 letters for a reason. And so what I notice is, well, I've got vertical angles, right? And if I mark my vertical angles, I can see, again, if this is triangle A, I've got an angle, a side, and an angle. Okay, so I would just look to see if I have that same order on the other side on triangle B. And I do. I've got an angle, a side, and the same angle. So I would say that this one is congruent by angle, side, angle. All right. Let's scroll down a bit here to 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay. And whoops, hang in there. Okay. All right. Number 5. Take a look at number 5. Tell me what you think about number 5, or think on your own. And okay. We cannot determine congruence with these because remember, we need 3 letters and we only have two. We got a side and an angle. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. So we wouldn't say that they're not congruent. We would just say that it cannot be determined. There just isn't enough information. Okay, so yeah, they look like maybe. Oh, they don't even, maybe, who knows? Who knows, right? Okay, all right. Let's take a look at number 6. Okay, the right angle is helpful. Okay. So I know that I've got an angle and they've given me a side, okay, and these are corresponding to each other. So I got 2 out of 3. Where would I get the third? Whenever I have anything like a bow tie, I'm going to mark my little vertical angles there, okay? When I mark my vertical angles, you can see, what do I have? I've got angle, side, angle, okay? Angle, side, angle. So this one qualifies by, oops, sorry about that. I'm gonna, by angle, side, angle. Congruency. All right, congruency shortcut. All right, let's take a look at number 7. I'm gonna give you a moment to process that one. Okay, so you might be noticing that they both have congruent side. They both have another congruent side. These 2 angles are marked congruent, but I mean, they kind of obviously aren't. And then what you notice is the order is different, okay? So in the one triangle over here, I've got side, angle, side. But on this one, I have side, side, angle, okay? So again, we would just say it cannot be determined, all right? We just don't know, don't have enough information. Well, we don't, is, you know, basically it may or it may not be, okay? Number 8, these are the easiest ones of all. Anytime we see 3 sides, we know we have side, side, side. It doesn't even matter. I mean, the order could be flipped around, right? So the number 8 is one of those that are the easiest, okay? Let's go down to number 9. Okay, this is a bow tie. I'm going to be a little bit careful because with bow ties, I don't always have congruency, but I do have vertical angles. So what I'm thinking I should have, I've got a side, angle, side, and I could do the same thing over here. Side, angle, side. Okay, so by side, angle, side, yes, number 9 works. Okay. And then finally, number 10, hopefully you can see, again, shared sides are always congruent. Once I mark that, I've got side, 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 side. So this one works by side, side, side. Okay. All right, we're going to go to page 160. Okay. This one's a little bit different. And again, you got to be careful here with order. All right. So we've got we're given a reason that if we had enough information, we would be able to rely upon it, okay? So what they're saying is they want to get an angle, a side, and an angle, all right? So I've got an angle here. I can call this a side because this is the shared side, right? So they both triangles share this side. Okay, so I'm going to call that the side. And then, so I just need one more angle, right? And it's got to be on the other side. The side has to be in the middle. So what we have to have is this configuration here, okay? So what we would need is, what we would say is the additional information required is we would need angle DUT congruent to angle SUT, okay? So that's part one for this, all right? And then that's really the only part of it, because once I get that, then I know I have angle, side, angle congruency. Then it works, okay? All right, number 12. Okay, again, I have a right angle, right? Both triangles are right triangles. And again, they share one side. So I already know that I have this. So what other additional information could I be given that would tell me that these two triangles are congruent? So they want a side angle side, which means I need a side. Here I have a side, rather. I've got an angle. So the side they're looking for is right here. I do need this second side here, okay? So what that's going to give me side angle side. What I want to point out is what they could have said is they also could have said hypotenuse leg. And if they said hypotenuse leg, well, then I would have been looking for these two, okay? And if I have, for hypotenuse leg, if I have a right angle, right? So here I would say, I would need this here for hypotenuse leg, all right? It would be right here. And that's that one exception to the SSA donkeys, that this is the only triangle I can make with a right triangle, okay? So I could have, since this was a leg attached to the right angle, then the hypotenuse would give me that second part, okay? All right, let's go on to number 13. So I want a side, angle, side. So this one's exactly the same as 12, right? Side angle, side, side, angle, side, okay? Okay, number 14. Think about it. What additional information do I need in order to be able to determine if these two are congruent by angle, side, angle? Well, I have the two angles marked, so I hope you can see that all I'm looking for is that DE is congruent to LK, right? That would be the statement. DE congruent to LK. I haven't been writing all of these down. This would have been CA congruent to LJ, right? And this would have been, the hypotenuse leg was my added version. This one was that XK was congruent to WV. Okay, that was the side angle side version. All right. Roll on down to the last bit here. Okay. Side angle side. Hopefully you can see we're talking about JI, right? I'm going to try to make that a little neater with a straight line here. JI is congruent to TS. Again, the angle has to be in the middle, both sides. So the fact that it's rotated doesn't make a difference. So now I have side, angle, side. So JI, right, congruent to TS, all right? Angle, side, angle, okay? Okay, I've got an angle here. I've got a side. So the angle has to be right here, okay? Hopefully everybody can see that. So I've got angle, side, angle. And that means that I need the corresponding angle over here. So I've got angle here, side, and angle, okay? So I would need to have angle L congruent to angle T in order to get my angle side angle. 17. Notice I'm doing my markings first and then writing out the statement. It usually works out a little bit easier that way. Okay, so for side, 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 that means every side congruent. I would start with this. It doesn't matter really, but I always start with the shared side, right? I'm just going to mark them. So the shared side's given. I don't have to state that. That's not additional information, right? The one that I don't have, the one that wasn't given to me, is that RS is congruent to QD. That's what I would need to get side, side, side. Okay, RS congruent to QD. And then finally, side, angle, side. Okay, well, I'm given a side, and that's it. That's all I've stated. But again, I kind of have this bow tie, right? So I do have this angle, right? And the additional side then would have to be, notice side, angle has to be right here, okay? Side, angle, side. So what I'm looking for here is that WV is congruent to VM, right? So WV congruent to VM. And this is actually a really excellent diagram for me to show, again, why side, side angle does not work, okay? So what if I did do, let's just say I had side, side angle, right? Side, side angle. Well, if you notice, if this side here is not fixed, all right, right here, okay? So if I have U, undo that and see if I can get a little bit straighter. Okay, UM. Let's just say UM, this VM actually here is not fixed, right? If you, and this angle here is not fixed. Well, I could redraw KM like that, okay? As long as it's congruent, right? Let's just say it could be over here, all right? And if you notice, if I'm going to actually be able to kind of black out this bit here. So if I said, hey, that side, that's not the side right there. Okay, do you notice how these are marked correctly? I've got a side, I've got a side, an angle, I've got a side, an angle, but there's just no way that these two are the same. Okay, all right. So again, that's why we have to be careful. That's why these guys don't work. All right. Okay.